Alright, this is video 4 of 6, and I'm not using my iPad this time. My husband was helping me out and he said the YouTube videos weren't legible enough, so now we're using a really cool, expensive camera. So hopefully this one will be better than the first 3. Alright, we are on problem number 13, page 124. It says, in March, Rodney sold twice as many cars as Greg. In April, Rodney sold 5 fewer cars than he did in March, while Greg sold 3 more cars than he did in March. If they sold the same number of cars in April, how many cars did each sell in March? They did not have a table already set up for this problem. I went ahead and made 3 rows because I didn't want to take the time to draw them for the video. But it sounds like we've got 2 people that we're dealing with, Rodney and Greg, and it sounds like 2 months that we're dealing with, April and March. So you may have set yours up a little differently. There's more than one way to do it, but I'm going to put the people on this side and then the months over here. And it doesn't ever ask like they're asking us for totals or putting stuff together, adding wise. So it doesn't look like it's the setup of the first 3 problems that you did where you had to multiply boxes. It looks like it's more straightforward. So I don't think I need 4 columns. I think 3, 3 or 2, whichever way you want to count it. So we've got Rodney and Greg. And across here we will put March and April. Okay. It says in March, so we're dealing with this column, Rodney sold twice as many cars as Greg. Well, at this point we don't know either, but let's go ahead and call Greg G. Because if Greg is G, then if I want Rodney to sell twice as many cars as Greg, then it would be 2G. So now it says, in March, Rodney sold twice as many cars as Greg. March, Greg sold G cars and Rodney sold 2G cars. So we are pretty much done with that first sentence. Okay, second sentence. In April, Rodney sold 5 fewer cars than he did in March. Well, this is how many Rodney sold in March. So if in April Rodney sold 5 fewer cars than he did in March, it's 5 fewer than this. So 2G minus 5. Okay, so we're done with this part. Rodney sold 5 fewer cars than he did in March. Okay, keep going. In April, blah, 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 we did that. While Greg sold 3 more cars than he did in March. Okay, Greg sold 3 more cars than he did in March. Greg sold G cars in March. So if in April he sold 3 more cars than he did in March, it would be G plus 3. So we are done with that part. That part too. Then it says, if they sold the same number of cars in April. Well, this is the number of cars that Rodney sold in April, and this is the number of cars that Greg sold in April. And if they sold the same number of cars, then they must be equal. So we can write an equation. 2G minus 5 equals G plus 3. Because again, it said, if they sold the same number of cars in April, meaning this amount that Rodney sold must be equal to this amount that Greg sold. How many cars did each sell in March? So we're ending up wanting to know this box and this box. But to find it, we have to solve this equation that we were given. Okay, I've got terms that are alike, but they're not on the same side. So let's subtract G from this side. If I do it to that side, I've got to do it to this side. 2G minus G is just 1G, or just G. I don't have to show the 1. bring down your -5, bring down your +3, which we don't have to show the plus sign. To get rid of subtracting 5, or undo subtracting 5, I'm going to add 5. So now we get G equals 8. Okay. That means this box is 8. And since this box is 2G, 2 times 8 would be 16. So Greg sold 8 cars in March. And Rodney sold 16 cars in March. And that happens to be what the back of the book said. Remember, if it's an odd problem, check in the back of the book as you do the problems, because you want to find out early on that you're missing problems rather than do a whole bunch of homework problems wrong. Hope that helps.